Hi, this is Gerald Salenti. It's Wednesday, June 27, 2018, and here are some of today's trends in the news. Over there in Asia, markets are down. Over in Europe, the markets moved up. Here in the States, markets are up, then they move down. Gold down, oil up, Bitcoin flat. So what happened? Dow erases 285-point gain, falling 167 points as techs roll over. Hey, wait a minute. In yesterday's New York Times, today's New York Times talking about yesterday's markets move higher as tech companies regain their footing. I guess they lost their footing. So what's going on? Well, they're talking about trade wars and trade fears, but that's not what's moving the markets. Other fundamentals are. And you know what those fundamentals are? They're right in your trend alert. Trend alert. Trend alert. Where are the markets heading? Follow gold, oil, and the dollar. That's right. Not all this trade talk. Read your trend alert. What's in your trend alert you won't find anywhere else in the media. They're telling one story, and there's a real story behind it with facts, not hyperbole, and the facts are in your trend alert. So also, what's pushing the markets up a little more and what had them rising is rising oil prices. And there's a number of factors going on. One of them over there in Libya, again, you know, that wonderful deal that Obama did and Cameron and Sarkozy of France and slaughtering Gaddafi, destroying the country. They're taking a lot of oil off the markets over there. And over in Canada, they had a major supply outage that they don't see repairing until around July. It's taken about 350,000 barrels a day off the market. And again, what Trump did, as opposed to what he said, by putting restrictions on companies to buy Iranian oil, what he said to OPEC was, hey, put more production out there. But now with what he's done with Iran, now that's more oil pulled off the market. So prices are going up. And it's at the end, it's going to be a supply and demand issue. And demand may be dropping. And why will demand be dropping? Read your trend alert. And gold. That's extending its downward trend. And you know why. The dollar keeps getting stronger and gold keeps moving lower. Again, I'm not a bull or a bear on issues. I call it the way I see it and what the facts lead me to forecast. And the forecast is simple. We've said this. We were the first to say what gold had to do to break out. And we were the first among the gold folks to say gold had a $1,200 downside. And it's getting closer to it. It's only 50-something bucks away. And you know how they keep saying that the problems going on in the markets have to do with China and others worrying about trade fears? Headline stories. I was reading them to you on Monday and Tuesday. Take a look at this chart. Look at this picture. And look at the headline. Trade worries, Shanghai hits bear territory. The Shanghai markets are in bear territory. It has nothing to do with the trade wars. Look at that chart. The markets peaked in Shanghai in January. And a straight line down, man. Bounced back up and back down again. They weren't talking about trade wars in January. It was happy days here again. So, read your trend alert and you'll see what's going on, not what they're hyping. Because a report just came out, a leaked report from the Chinese think tank, warning of great dangers ahead in the Chinese markets. Not only are the markets over-leveraged and overvalued, the debt level, both in the corporate level and on the state level, is really sending fears throughout the nation. So, going back to oil, going back to the other data coming out of Europe, only the United States seem to be moving forward, and there's a reason the United States economy is moving forward. It had to do a lot with the Trump tax cuts that have enriched the corporations, increased stock buybacks and merger and acquisition activity to record highs, and has increased also the total GDP, which is expected to go above 4%. They're even talking about 5%. However, the rest of the world is slowing down. Go back down to oil. If the global economy slows down, kiss oil goodbye. And again, read your trend alert. 3 indicators: the dollar, gold, and oil. And what else do we have here? Big story here in the Financial Times about what's going on in India. And basically, their economy isn't growing as it should, and they're attributing a lot of growth to the economy by government stimulus. And even though it's in the 6 and 7% range, it has to grow much stronger than that. But now let's go back to your trend alert. What's going to happen to not only emerging markets who have to buy oil that's priced in gold as their currencies are going down, as the dollar's getting stronger? What's going to happen to oil-dependent countries like India and China that have to buy huge supplies of oil as their currencies go lower and as their economies are slowing down? Is a crash in sight? You know where to find the answer. And what else do we have here? Facebook to accept crypto ads again. Interesting. They're not saying which ads they're going to accept, what ICOs they're going to ban, initial coin offerings. But what's essential about this, it shows the life expectancy of the crypto field. It's not dead. And you're going to get an update within days, a mid-year trends, top trends of 2018 update that's going to answer these and a lot of other questions. Report warns about rising federal debt. This is by the Congressional Budget Office in the United States, and they said improving economy and rising levels of federal debt would increase debt payments from 1.6% of gross domestic product in 2018 to 3.1% in 2028. And they go on to say that if it keeps going the way it is, the payments would help push overall federal spending to 29% of GDP, the first time since World War II. So at some point, the reason I'm bringing this out is that the Ponzi scheme is going to end. Gold remains the ultimate safe haven, and you're also going to see a flight into cryptos, we believe. Again, the debt levels are unsustainable. The United States economic recovery is unsustainable. It only is moving forward at the level it is because of Trump's policies. And again, we were the first magazine to forecast the Trump rally in 2016, weeks after he got elected. The first to call a market correction. We did that in our top trends of 2018, that we published in December of 2017. And now we're saying the Trump rally is over and you have a great downside risk. Again, there may be ups, of course there will be, but look for more downs. And house prices rise. In April, they rose 6.4%. 6.4%. Of course, everybody's income went up at least that. Of course, you know what that is.
Warning, warning, bullshit alert.
When you counter inflation, they're flat. So, what else? Trump looks to privatize the Postal Service. Great. And here's privatizing the Postal Service would provide greater freedom to raise prices and negotiate pay and benefits, according to the White House. A private postal operator could cut costs by delivering mail fewer days a week and to more centralized locations. The proposal would end regular mail and package services at an affordable cost, says the union. I mean, come on. I mean, how about that? Can't we get anything for paying taxes? Oh, but they have a huge debt. You know how much their debt is? Postal Service reported a $2.7 billion net loss for fiscal year ended in September 30th. Big deal. How much did you just increase the defense budget by that didn't make any of the news last week? Oh, only $82 billion. Hey, if you only did $80 billion, you would have enough to pay for the loss of the Postal Service. We're not supposed to get anything for our taxes, and we pay a lot. We shouldn't get any health care services. We shouldn't get Social Security. They'll rig the inflation numbers so you don't get any increases. And why should we get Postal Service? Only give it to the bigs. And that's what they're doing. Moving on to some international news. Israeli missile strike hits near Syria Damascus airport. Following the strikes, Russia's military issued a statement saying they consider the ceasefire in southwestern Syria to be over. Israel could do anything they like, just like the United States and just like Yemen, with Saudi Arabia destroying people over there. Saudi Arabia airstrikes kills 9 civilians in Yemen, wounding 11 others. But they don't count, and neither do those Syrians. And U.S. pilots menaced by laser near China coast. What are you doing over there? Stay away. And again, I'm making a point of this because not only should you not be there and mind your own business, because what if Chinese planes were off our coast, but this is new millennium warfare. And I just mentioned the moronic amount of money given to the Defense Department, over $700 billion to build ships and planes and all antiquated equipment. Generals are always fighting the last war, as the new war is going to be high-tech. So that's why I mentioned that. And what's going on in the world is madness around anywhere you look. Blasted rally for premier causes panic and injuries. This is in Ethiopia a couple of days ago. Explosion at Zimbabwe area. President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe escaped unhurt after an explosion rocked a stadium at a political rally. You know, again, go around the world. It's one after another. And the big issue, I want to make this clear, it's going to be the top trend of 2019. You're hearing it now. Immigration and refugee problems. Italy disrupts summit to save Merkel with call to rip up EU migrant system. Big story here in the Financial Times. Mr. Trump started the week by trying to undermine a key American ally. He attacked Angela Merkel's tenuous coalition government in Germany for allowing in millions of people who have strongly and violently changed their culture. Hungary law on migrants violates human rights, says Watchdog. Another one from Mexico. Lopez Obrador, matter of fact, the election's going to be on July 1st, promises robust opposition to U.S. immigration policy. Big story here in the Toilet Paper Record, the New York Times. Migrants are on the rise around the world. Vienna pushed hard line on migration to EU. Refugee backlash, today's Wall Street Journal, threatens Merkel. So there you got it. This issue isn't going to go away. It's not only economics. It's not only what I read you about, what's going on in Zimbabwe and Ethiopia, what's going on in Honduras and Venezuela. Those issues are going on in Nigeria and in Angola. It's happening in Mali. Yep, there's destabilization, geopolitical, socioeconomical, but also climate. A lot of drought, a lot of terrible conditions. People are looking to go somewhere to save their lives, and it may be